currently cruising at a 144. Kind of have a little bit of a rough day. First of all, my breakfast, I had a granola bar. And I spiked and I didn't put a temp basil on. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what's going on with me, like, right now, managing my diabetes. I feel like I can't do what I used to do. I feel like I'm being continuously watched and pressured by my endo team because they can see exactly what I'm doing on my pump, and they can see every judgment or override that I make that I've gotten to do on injections. So I haven't been doing a lot of things that I would normally do because I am a firm believer in non-traditional ways to manage blood sugar. I'm a little bit more, I guess you could say, advanced, and I'm going to talk about this in a future video, but I haven't been correcting as much, so I overrided the pump, got it back down, and then I had lunch, and knowing that this meal was slow or fat, I didn't properly give myself a grace period to where, like, I did an extended bolus. I didn't do that. I gave all the insulin up front and ended up going low, and then got so panicked about having a low blood sugar because they sit and instill on me that low blood sugars are horrible. Okay, first of all, low blood sugars are bad, but second of all, they're not horrible if you take care of them and you're not having a lot of them. This is like the first low I've had in like a week. And I panicked and overtreated. My low blood sugar ended up at like 200, and I've just been staying there because I'm like, I don't want to correct and crash, and then they yell at me. Like, I've been kind of in this limbo state, but anyways, I'm at 144, much better than what I was. Kind of been up and down all day. Not going to complain, though. They've been coming down, the pump's working, my monitor's been accurate, so what is there to complain about? Life happens, things happen. We get stressed, we get anxious, we get nervous, and like I said, today's video is all about that. So with that being said, we'll jump into today's video. Hey everyone, it's Maddie. Welcome back to my channel, and as you could tell by the title of today's video, we are going to be delving into emotions and dealing with stress, anxieties, and all your inner feelings with type 1 diabetes. First of all, if you do not already know, emotions and stress highly impact blood sugar, and they can impact them in pretty negative ways. And it can be from a positive emotion. So anytime you're happy, excited, stressed, nervous, anxious, upset, angry, frustrated, any of the big major feelings that we all go through at different points in our life, when you have those, it actually causes a surge of hormones to be released from your liver or your kidneys, kind of in that fight or flight response. It is actually adrenaline being released into your bloodstream, which can cause a surge in blood sugar. So sometimes if you have a CGM, you may notice that if you're in a certain mood, or you're really excited, or you're really upset, or you're stressed out, or you're anxious, that your blood sugars will just start heading up for no apparent reason. And that is because your body's in that fight or flight response. It is not your fault. It is your liver and your kidneys getting ready to it's trying to give you a burst of energy to try to get you through whatever emotion you're feeling, so that you are prepared to leave a situation or take on a situation, I guess you could say. Unfortunately, if you have type 1 diabetes like myself, our pancreas cannot secrete insulin to combat this storage of sugar and hormonal releases from our liver and our kidney. So our blood sugars start to head up. So there are a few things that you can do to kind of help along with this and reduce maybe your blood sugar raise, or kind of aid you into not getting that blood sugar raise in the first place. So first of all, easier said than done, but try to control the emotional state you're in. It's very difficult, especially if you're dealing with people that aren't very good for your health, or people that are toxic to you, or people that stress you out, or an environment that stresses you out, like your work environment, or whatever the case may be. That is very hard to do, to kind of let go of those emotions, but it can be done over time, and it's not going to happen overnight. I find that when I'm kind of like, I drive really well, like in heavy traffic, but sometimes the amount of traffic, if people are driving really crazy or super fast, might get me a little uptight and anxious. I try to deep breathe through some of my anxiety emotions, and I found that my blood sugar doesn't go up as much anymore when I drive, just because I've gotten so accustomed and used to taking care of myself when I'm feeling that way. So you can do breathing exercises. You can put your mind in a happy thought. If you have to remove yourself temporarily from a situation, go ahead and do so, and that might just calm you down. A great example of stress that is induced is CPR certification. I talked about this a while ago, that when I was in CPR class, it is a very high intense thing. And when you're trying to reenact situations and pretend that you're trying to save somebody's life who's in cardiac arrest, you go into fight or flight response, and you literally have so much energy you can keep going and going and going and compressing on a chest several times over and breathing in this person's mouth over several times over without even feeling tired. And that's that fight or flight response. But then again, that raised my blood sugar up, and I had to correct in the middle of my class, and it came down. This was when I was still on injections, but I'm going to talk about a few things that I found on the pump that work really well. So number one is temp basals. Increase them temp basals up as much as you need to. Don't go crazy at first. Maybe try a 50% increase, a 60% increase, and if you find that doesn't work for the situation, you end up at a little more. For example, me going back to school right now and not really having the comfort in a dental clinic that I'm having right now, I'm having a little bit more elevated blood sugars. They're not crazy high, but they run 140 to 160 during class. And I actually have high blood sugar symptoms at those levels because I keep such a tight range on my blood sugars. So I find what helps is obviously to increase my temp basal background. I think I did like 65% last time. I'm going to try like 70 or 75 and see if that will help. What you can do too is if you're going to enter a stressful situation, or you're in school, you have an exam coming up, or you know you're going to be in kind of a stressful or emotional exciting type situation, is to try to take a dose of insulin beforehand, or if you're going to eat something really low carb that's not going to impact your blood sugar, so you're not adding to that high blood sugar fire. I find that when I go into school now, I eat as low carb as possible for breakfast because my class is in the morning, so that I don't have that raise from my breakfast in addition to my adrenaline raise or my anxious nervous raise from being introduced in a new clinical environment. So, like I said, it's going to take time for me to accustom to blood sugars in my clinic. So, and it takes you time to adjust blood sugars for stressful situations. So, the next tip I have for you is to give yourself grace. Don't freak out. Like me, I'm such a perfectionist when it comes to my diabetes. Now I've learned to just be like, okay, 150. If I'm coasting at 150 and I feel stressed, that is not bad. Because the other alternative for me could be coasting at a blood sugar of 200 or 300. So a 150 I'm not going to complain about. But if you can coast at 150 and feel stressed with an increased background basal, why don't you try increasing it a little more and see if you can feel that stress and anxiety or go through that situation again with a lower, healthier blood sugar. To strive maybe for a 120 or 130. That's kind of what I'm striving for most of the time when I'm in clinic, is to have blood sugars between 110 and 140 where they're in my range, possibly slightly elevated, but not to the point where it's going to make me feel super sick and I'm not going to go dangerously low. That's kind of my goal with going through school, is to stay consistently between 110, 120 to 140. Even up to 150, I'll give myself that grace. Even 160 wouldn't even be that bad for a short period of time. So give yourself grace when it comes to this stuff and know that it's going to take time. You may have to repeat and go through these same stressful situations again to better yourself. I know I had a repeat situation that happened to me at Christmas, and it happened to me just recently here. And I learned better to control my stress with this particular situation. And having a pump definitely helps because you can manipulate your basal rates. Keep hydrated. That's another tip I have for you, the fourth tip. Continue to drink lots of water because that's going to flush out any potential ketones that might be building up. It may flush out any excess sugar through your kidneys. And it just... Keeping yourself hydrated also keeps the blood sugars better because then the sugar can't kind of stick inside the veins and the vessels. It can more easily move with the insulin into the cells, so it can be used for energy instead of just sitting in your bloodstream. So that's kind of an easy way to think about it that way too, I guess you could say, is drink a lot of water. If you have to, use your temp basals. If you have to, give yourself an injection before. Eat lower carb if you know you're going to be in an intense situation. That's more appropriate, I guess, like I said, for schooling, because if you know you have an exam coming up and you're going to be stressed to heck about it, I would eat something, but to me, I wouldn't try to eat more than like 20 carbs, because the less carbs you have affecting your blood sugar, the only raise you may get is from your adrenaline rush. And if you start out with the blood sugar of 90 and your blood sugar heads up 30, 50 points from stress, that isn't that bad of a raise if you really think about it. And you don't have that food to kind of add to that high blood sugar fire. Now, some emotions can drive your blood sugars lower. I haven't really noticed this too much, but sometimes I do notice, like, if I have a lot of insulin in my body and I get a certain emotion, I feel like the lows feel worse to me. Like if I'm low when I'm stressed or whatever, the lows feel worse. I don't think emotions induce lows, because I think you need that hormonal release from your liver or kidney, and then that will in turn cause your blood sugar to go higher, because it will release more stored sugars that you have stored around your body or inside your liver or whatever the case may be. So stress is one of those things we have to deal with, but if you're a type 1 diabetic, you almost feel like you can't have stress, because, or you have to like find other ways to reduce the stress you have in your life, because it is so difficult to manage blood sugars and stress, whereas non-diabetics, their body would automatically regulate this for them. We kind of got to think a little bit like our pancreas and our organs, and anticipate when our liver may release sugar, when we might feel anxious or stressed or nervous or whatever the case may be. But like I said, the tips that I've given you should help. Always know that if you have to remove yourself from a stressful situation, don't feel bad for doing so. People should understand that this condition is a heck of a hard time to manage just with food and insulin in general, and then pack on all the other things that affect our blood sugars, our hormones, stress and anxiety, exercise, the weather, if you're growing, if you're going through a different change in your life, periods, whatever the case may be. People should understand and have acceptance that this disease is a very difficult thing to manage on its own, and then add all the different life characteristics around it. It can get like to be like chaotic. So if you have to step away and focus on something you like, do it. I find that if I do a lot of artwork, it actually eliminates a lot of my stress. Or if I just, like I said, do deep breathing exercises, I sit outside and I listen to the birds, I feel like it just brings my energy level and my anxieties down to a low-key nothing. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video about how to deal with stress and anxiety with type 1 diabetes. I know these tips are very, very simple, but if you're newly diagnosed or never thought about stress and your diabetes before, I hope this sheds some light on it, and I hope the few tips I did give you kind of help you aid along with this. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Feel free to hit that subscribe button down below. I post videos every single week about diabetes plus more. Stay tuned. I have lots of cool things coming out on the Omnipod. I hope to be doing a channel trailer in the future. And I also hope, not this weekend, but the following weekend's videos for me to be doing a Q&A. I got some questions already, but I will do a repost and do a last minute roll call, or last minute call for any of you that want to head to my Instagram or Beyond Type 1 and ask me any questions you want. They don't have to be diabetes related, but I thought I would open myself up more, and if it's something controversial, if it's something you really want to know my opinion on or what I think, or you want to know about me, feel free to ask, because I want you guys to know me for who I am, and know that I'm here for you, and know that I hope that I can be a support system for you guys. So anyways, until tomorrow for another video, take care, God bless, be kind, spread positivity, and be thankful. Bye, everyone.